Okay, so in this video, we are going to unbox the Cricut Joy Xtra. This is Cricut's latest model. I did go to Michael's and purchase this with my own money. I also went and got a couple of the accessories, although they did not have a lot of the accessories that have come out for this. So I got what I could find, and we're going to actually go into that a little bit later. And we're going to do a lot of crafting with the Xtra today. But first and foremost, let's go ahead and open this up. I'm going to go ahead and unbox it. We are going to learn this together. And I also want to note that I have absolutely zero idea of what this machine is about. I have not watched any videos on this machine at all. I barely knew that there was going to be a new product until someone mentioned it. So I went ahead and looked up what it was, but I have no idea about this machine at all. So we're going to absolutely learn together. I'm going in completely raw. So this is the box. This looks to be obviously a Cricut Joy, but a bigger version of it. But let's go ahead and figure out what the perks are. So, okay, it says it has an easy printable sensor that recognizes and automatically cuts around inkjet printed images. Okay, that's really great. It also is going to cut 50 plus materials, so a wide variety of materials like vinyl, iron-on, cardstock, and more. And I'm sure we'll figure out what the more is. It's going to write and draw in a variety of fonts, styles, and line weights, and then make projects up to 8.5 by 11 inches and up to 4 feet long if you're using the smart materials. Okay, first and foremost, now I've never seen this in person. First and foremost, from the picture, it looks adorable. And I have to say, I'm really glad that they didn't do the blue like they did last time. I mean, it's cute, but I'm really glad that they just went with a nice plain white. Blue wasn't really my jam. Okay, so let's go ahead and open this up. So I have my little True Control knife here, and let's see what this is all about. Okay, so, oh, nope, we have more. We have more. Some on the side and here. Okay, so this is going to be a live crafting video. You're going to see all of my first reactions. We're going to just do all of this together, which I know you love and I know you have found helpful. Okay, so first and foremost, we open up the box. There's a little envelope, and inside, oh, we're going to have some materials. Well, that's nice. Oh, and we have some transfer tape, which is great because I didn't pick up transfer tape. Okay, so here is our little user guide. So I'm sure we can use that if we need it. We have a let's get started. This is going to help us activate the machine. So we're definitely going to need that. Warranty statement, I never really look at those, but you should absolutely. This first material is a smart label. Okay, so we have a smart label, I guess you could say sample. And then we also have smart vinyl. This is a removable. I'm wondering if this is the same thing. Yep, removable smart vinyl. And I'm just looking at the back to see what we have here, okay? Then we have, ooh, this is gonna be iron-on, it looks like. Really pretty. Oh, I like that. And then we have the transfer tape, okay? So that transfer tape is going to go with the vinyl. So it's nice that they give you a couple of little sample materials to play around with. And now I'm not sure if this is the exact same samples in every box, that I don't know, but that is what came in my box. Okay, now let's check out, oh, wow. Okay, I'm gonna bring the Joy in just so we can compare, but look at that. Oh, I like it. Again, I am so glad they went with a nice neutral color instead of that vibrant kind of teal blue. Okay, so we have the physical machine. We have the cord. We also have the little power brick. Okay, so these are going to connect. Oh, what is this? I'm not sure what this is, but we'll learn together. It looks like it has a little pokey here. Okay, so we're gonna have to figure out what this is, right? And we have a pen. Now, something I am curious about is if the Cricut Joy pens for just the regular Joy are the same thing. I'm hoping we don't have to buy extra pens. That gets really kind of irritating when you have to get all new materials for each machine. So I'm hoping that the Joy pens are going to work in this machine as well. All right, so I'm going to set the materials aside, and then let's go ahead and very ever so gently, just going to go right in this gap here so that I don't hurt my machine or scratch in any way. I'm just going to pierce that plastic, and let's go ahead and take that off. Okay, it's wrapped really nice there. And let's get this plugged in. Now, before I do that, actually, let me grab my Cricut Joy, the original, and let's compare the size. Okay, so the original Joy is this size, just like that, okay? And I have a video in case you're watching this right now and you want to actually invest in just the original Joy. I do have a video of opening up this, so you can check that out as well. Okay, but then we haven't even opened this up, but this is the Cricut Joy Xtra. How pretty, and you know we're gonna have to decorate it. Not in this video, but you know we're going to have to decorate this. Okay, and also because I find this visually to be very handy, here is the comparison against a full-size machine. So this is the Cricut Explore 3 machine. This is by far my favorite machine. And this is obviously the new machine, the Cricut Joy Xtra, and then the original Cricut Joy. So there is a really good side-by-side visual of the size difference. Okay, so I did notice that there is some additional little tape on the back. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. Okay, and then I'm going to open this up, and inside there's another little piece of foam, if you will, and then it looks like we have a blade already loaded. So that's great. It comes with a blade. Now, that is all that it comes with. So we don't have a cutting mat. We don't have full-size material, but again, they did give us some sample materials, but you are going to want, if you want to use materials that are not the Smart materials, you will want to invest in a cutting mat. All right, so let's go ahead, and before we plug this in, I want to go ahead and show you the other accessories that I purchased for this. So what I did is I went ahead and, again, my Michaels did not have a variety of things at all. They had a very, very small selection. I'm actually surprised that I even found the machine. So I did go ahead and grab some of their permanent vinyl. Now this is the Smart vinyl. I went ahead and picked this up because in the past I haven't been very fond of the Smart vinyl. However, a lot of time has passed since they first introduced and created Smart vinyl, so I wanted to go ahead and repurchase it just to see if their formula has changed a bit, but we'll go into that in a little bit. But I did pick up the Smart vinyl, and I went ahead and picked up their Smart iron-on. Now, I actually do really like the Smart iron-on. I think it works really, really well. Again, Smart vinyl isn't my favorite to work with, but I wanted to test it out to see if their formula has changed at all, or to see how it works with the Cricut Joy Xtra, and if it ends up working and weeding really well. Okay, so those are the materials that I picked up. We are going to use both of these. These are intended for matless cutting, so we can just feed those through the machine. We do not need a mat. However, I did go ahead and pick up a couple of mats because I like to use other materials other than the Smart vinyl and the Smart iron-on. I have some iron-on that I really love to use. I also have some vinyl that I really like to use. So in order for me to place other materials that are not Smart materials through my new Cricut Joy Xtra, I am going to need some mats. So these are their mats, again, not included with the machine, so you'll have to purchase these separately. These are nice and big, so they look to be 8.5 inches by 12 inches. I did pick up the light grip mat and then of course the standard grip mat. The standard grip mat ends up being my favorite. I use it the most, but I went ahead and picked up both of those. Okay, in addition, I did go ahead and pick up their card mat. Now, we aren't going to play around with this today. However, I will do a separate video on the card mat. You have been asking me to do a video on the card mat with the other machines. So when I saw this, I know I've been repeatedly asked to do a video on the card mat. So I went ahead and grabbed it for the new machine and we will explore that later. One thing that my Michaels did not have was the printable vinyl or the material for stickers. Again, I don't really know all the other materials that are coming out with this because I'm just really going in brand new. I have absolutely no idea about this whole system and I'm excited to learn it together. So that being said, in another video, we are going to explore the print and cut and the sticker capabilities for this machine. So go down in the comment section. I want to start a vote. I want you to either vote for the card mat or stickers for the next video. So go ahead and vote which one you want me to do next, and that will be the next video that we do. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to grab this because I am very intrigued about this little pokey and I want to know exactly what that is. It's kind of bothering me that I have absolutely no idea there. Okay, so it doesn't say anything about that in the materials included. It says we have the machine, we have the blade and housing, we have the fine point pen, we have the power adapter and cord, and then materials for practice cuts and bonus materials. Okay, so let's see what that is. Now, because I have used a Cricut Joy before, again, the smaller version, the original, I'm pretty confident that I know how to load this machine and work it, so I'm going to skip all of that. But what in the world is this little pokey tool? I am seeing absolutely zero reference to it. Okay, so I kind of give up on what that is. If you know what this little gadget is, drop me a comment down below. I absolutely have no idea, and they're not referencing it in any of the literature that they include with the machine. All right, now let's go ahead and get this all plugged in so that way we can start creating some projects. So we're going to do 4 projects. We're going to use the Smart Vinyl. We're going to use the Smart Iron-On, both demonstrating how to do the matless cutting without the mat. Then we're going to grab the mats and we're going to cut non-smart material through the machine as well and see how it does with that. Okay, so let me go ahead and plug this in. Okay, very gently. I'm assuming it's in the back like the other Joy is. Okay, so I'm going to plug this in here, just like so. And then of course plug in my power. And I think what I'll do is place it right over on this side. Okay, so I have it plugged in. Oh, okay. I went ahead and dropped down the little tray and the little light came on. It's flashing at the moment. Okay, so before we do anything, of course, we need to activate the machine. I'm gonna go ahead and do that off camera because it just takes these simple steps, super easy, and we'll go ahead and continue. Okay, actually, let me go ahead and show you this. I am in Cricut Design Space. What I'm gonna do is go over to the top left, and there are 3 little lines here. So I'll click that, and then I'm going to go down to New Product Setup. Once I click that, I can select what I'm going to set up. So between the 2 options, I am setting up a cutting machine, and then I can select the machine that I'm setting up, which is the Cricut Joy Xtra. Okay, now it says make sure you've cleared 10 inches of space behind the Cricut Joy Xtra. Okay, I'm gonna click the arrow button, connect the power cord to the machine and plug into the wall outlet. You saw me do that. And now I am going to connect my Bluetooth. So I'm gonna click the Need Connection Help, and it's just gonna walk me through how to do that. And I am on a Mac, so I need those directions. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and off screen go into my system preferences, go to the Bluetooth and make sure that's on. That way I can select my Cricut machine there and it should connect from there. Okay, so let me do that real quick. Okay, so that was super easy. So now it looks like I just select my machine here. Okay, and then I went ahead and just said activate. So now it says to stay connected and powered on during the update. And it looks like it is just doing a final little update on my hardware. Okay, it's still waiting. It's about halfway there. Okay, we are so close. And there we go. Okay. Oh, now my blade is moving. And it says that the Cricut Joy Xtra is now set up and registered to your Cricut account. Okay, so setup is complete. Got a nice green check mark. I can go ahead and click next. Okay, and then it says I can start a free trial, maybe later. Okay, so this says you can test your machine. I'm actually going to skip this. Now, I would recommend that you give it a try, especially if you're new to Cricut. I am not brand new to Cricut. I think this is my 4th machine now, so I am not going to test and waste the vinyl on here. So I'm going to skip the test cut because we're just going to get crafting, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and click the skip button. It's going to say we're going to skip the machine test. A clean cut will confirm your machine is cutting correctly, plus it's fun. Okay, we're going to skip it, but thanks for the offering. Okay, so let's go ahead and start crafting, start cutting with this machine, and start creating fun new projects. So I am going to come up to new project. It's the top right green button. Now I am creating this video in September of 2023. They are constantly putting out new updates to their software. So if you're watching this in the distant future, it may look different than this. Okay, so I'm going to click new project, and then we're going to have a nice blank canvas to work in. So I already have the Cricut Joy Xtra selected up here. This is where you are going to select the machine that you're using. Of course, today we are doing the Xtra, so that's selected. But if yours isn't selected, then go ahead and make sure it's chosen in this little drop down there. All right, I think I'm going to test out the Smart Vinyl first. So I am going to actually go to upload and use a design that I have purchased. Again, we're going to do 4 little crafts today, so I think I'm going to do this. I'll click on this. We're going to do a little coffee mug to get started and test that nice smart vinyl, see how it does. So I'm just going to put that right into my canvas, and then I'll size it for my mug. Okay, so let me first of all make this canvas a little bit bigger so we can really see. I know that I have a very big computer, so my monitor is massive, but I hope you can see that a little bit better. Okay, I measured my coffee mug, and I'm gonna go with a height. So I'm coming up here to our size box. I'm gonna double click on height, and I'm just going to make that 2.5 inches. Because it is locked up here, then it will automatically adjust my width. And it says it'll be about 3 inches in width. Okay, I'm going to go over to my layers panel. You can see that it has multiple layers here. I'm going to come down and combine and then weld this together. That way it's just all one file. We're just doing one color. Okay, if I want to, I can go ahead and just make this a white color because we're using white vinyl, but that's not necessary. You don't have to do that at all. But for the sake of demonstration, we'll just do that. Okay, again, the Cricut Joy Xtra is already selected up here, and now I can click Make It. Now, we're gonna do the Smart Material. So what I'm going to do is select the Without a Matte option. Again, it's gonna remind us it is for Cricut Smart Materials only. Later on in the video, we're going to use regular vinyl that is not Cricut brand, and it is not smart vinyl, and so then we'll go ahead and use the matte. But for this one, with the Smart Material, we can say without a matte. Okay, now we can click Confirm. Okay, then it gives us a little preview of how it's going to cut on the material. So there is my design. That looks great. And now I can click Continue. Okay, now via Bluetooth, it is just locating and connecting to my new machine, the Joy Xtra. So we'll just wait for it to connect really quickly, hopefully really quickly, and then we can make our selection for our material. Okay, so that actually did take a little bit of time, probably about 40 seconds or so, but hopefully that is quicker each time. Okay, so now I'm going to select my material, and I'm going to do Smart Vinyl Permanent. I'll go ahead and flag this because I know this is something that I will probably use again, and then I'll just click to select that. Okay, now we are ready to load our material. So it's just telling us that we're going to do the fine point blade, which is already loaded, so we're ready to go. And let's go ahead and open up our smart vinyl and get to cutting. Okay, so I can put my little keyboard away. It's all registered and it looks great, all set up. Here's my mug that we'll be doing in just a moment. But let's go ahead and grab the smart vinyl. Okay, now I just grabbed it in white and I think I need to, oh, they didn't put tape on this time. Usually they tape it, but it looks like it just opens up, so that's nice. So let me open this up. Going to come in a nice long roll. This is going to be 9.5 inches by 3 feet. Okay. And again, I have the smart vinyl and this is a permanent. Okay, so now it looks like it's all ready to go. I'm going to take one end of my smart vinyl. It has little grooves and guides to the left and right, so I'm just going to follow those. It also has them up in the machine as well. So it's already starting, the little feet are already rolling. Okay, there we go. Now it's going to measure my material to make sure that I have enough to work with. Looks like it's all ready to go. And then I think on my actual design space, I have to select go. Oh, it says power cycle your machine by unplugging and replugging its power cord. If the issue persists, call member care. Okay, let's just unplug it and see if that helps. Okay, so I unplugged it, plugged it back in, went ahead and connected it once more via Bluetooth and made my material selection. So let's try this again. Okay. So I went ahead and grabbed the smart material. And I just clicked go on my, oh, I need to make sure my magnets are away from that. That's probably catching on the material. That might be why it actually did a little error the first time. That vinyl probably caught there and it probably made it all mess up. So that could have been user error. Okay, so now it's cutting. It's doing a great job so far. I'm gonna actually keep in mind the speed here, because I know on the Explorer 3, it cut really fast when doing the smart materials. So I'm gonna note the speed, and then when we use regular vinyl with the mat, we'll see if the speed is decreased. So it's pretty quiet. I will note that as well. So far, it's doing pretty well. Okay, it's all done. Now in design space, I believe I need to click unload. So I'm clicking unload on my screen. It just kicks out the vinyl and then I can see my cut right there. Now, of course, white on white is not going to be very easy for you. Now I will note it does have an inch gap and then it starts cutting there. But let me grab my scissors and I will trim off my vinyl and I'll do just about that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim straight across. In fact, I'm going to use the back side to do a straight line. That way the next time I want to come and load my smart material into my machine, then I have a nice straight piece to start with. Okay, so there is the smart vinyl. There's my remaining pieces. Now I know you're probably wondering what I'm going to do with all of that extra vinyl. So if you have extra vinyl, again, I cut straight across so I have a nice clean slate to refeed into my machine the next time I use it. But now I have all of this extra. Now, if I want to use this extra vinyl, and again, I have extra at the top, and of course I want to use the extra vinyl, what I can do is, obviously this is too small to put through the machine, right? With matless cutting, that is. But I can put this on a mat, okay? Stick it right on a mat, send it through the machine, and it will cut out. So always keep all of your smart vinyl scraps because you absolutely can use them. You just put them on a mat. Okay, let's begin by weeding this out. I'm just going to shut that for a moment. We need to decorate this. I mean, I love all the white, but it needs a pop of fun color. So we'll have fun doing that in another video. Okay, I'm gonna grab my weeding tool. Now, one thing about Cricut vinyl is that they do a white on white, and I'm sorry that you won't be able to see this, but that is something that's completely out of my control. I don't love that they do this, but they do. I'm not sure why they couldn't just put it on another color just to help both you and I, but it's okay. All right, so you can barely see that, and I'm sorry about that, but I am just weeding out my material. So far, it's weeding really well. Now, one thing that I do know about the Smart material is that when you are working with the Smart adhesive vinyl, that is, it is quite a bit thicker than just regular non-Smart material vinyl, right? So the reason it is because it is intended for matless cutting, so I'm pretty sure that's why they make it just a little bit more durable. Knowing that, it can be a little trickier to work with, and it is important that you do use their transfer tape for the Smart material. So I know that we, want to use our own transfer tapes all the time. I have another transfer tape that I absolutely love, but when it comes to the Smart materials, it really is best to use their transfer tape. And again, they did include that in my box, so that's good because I didn't have any. Now I do have just regular Cricut Joy transfer tape from my previous machine or my original machine, and I'm sure you could use that as well. Okay, I'm going through my materials that they gave me, and I just want to find that transfer tape. Let's see, where are you? Okay, so this is their transfer tape. Set the rest of this to the side, and I'm just placing my vinyl right on top. That way I can get an idea of how much I'm going to need. Okay, and then I'll just cut that out. Okay, there we go. Now, sometimes it's a little tricky, so you can use a weeding tool and just kind of pierce the edge to peel it up a little bit, and that can kind of help. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to peel that sticky side off. That's the grid line part. I'm going to keep this liner though that I just peeled off and removed, because when I'm done with this project, I can put my transfer tape right back on there and reuse it. Okay, now I'm just going to put that transfer tape right over my vinyl, and I'll grab a scraper and really burnish this down. So it weeded really, really nice. Usually where I come into a little bit of a snafu is when I am trying to get it off of the carrier sheet or the cutting sheet that is this piece right here. So peeling it and putting it onto the transfer tape is where I find it to be a little bit hard. Okay, so I burnished the front and back there. So I did this side and this side. That usually helps me. Now I'm going to just prep my mug. That way when I peel that off, I can immediately place it on my surface. Okay, bringing in my cup cradle. I'm also bringing in my mug. Now, if this is the first time that you're catching one of my videos, I always take the time down in the description box below this video to list out everything that you see me use in the video, from my tool caddy to the cup cradle to the actual product that I'm using in terms of the blank, and everything that you see you'll find down there. So if you need to take a closer look at anything, or if you need to add anything to your craft space, then all of those will be linked below. Now this is just rubbing alcohol. I'm going to spray the surface of my mug, and what this is doing is it's removing any oils that could have been placed on the surface from my hands. I am a lotion girl, so it's pretty fair to say that it'd probably be lotion from my hands on there. And it's also removing any dust or any lint, anything like that. And if you have a really nice clean surface, it's going to help your vinyl stick better and then last longer. Okay, that is nice and clean. Place that to the side. Now, just because I'm a little nervous, let's just re-burnish front and back. And let's see how this does. Okay, so just pressing down in some of the areas to help convince it to stay down, but it's actually not doing too bad. It's coming up pretty well. Needs a little bit of encouragement. And what's kind of hard about it is that the cutting sheet, this white sheet, is so thick because it needs to be really durable to be essentially the matte, since it's a matless cutting feature and material, but it makes it really hard to bend. It's not very flexible because it's so thick, because essentially it's the cutting mat, right? Okay, so I think I have everything, and I also think I have the dot to my eye. Looks good. All right. So here's my design right on my transfer tape, and now I can place it right on my mug. Okay, this is absolutely me, because I can overthink something in a hurry. Now, if you are new to doing drinkware, one thing you want to note is you want to give the recipient, or if it's you that you're making your mug for, you want to give yourself enough room to sip without your lip coming into contact with the vinyl. So vinyl actually isn't food safe, so you just want to make sure that you can have enough room to sip without your lip touching it. Okay, so I usually give about an inch, maybe a little less. And that looks pretty good to me. So I'll do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the middle. So I just laid that down. I'm going to rub my thumb right up the middle, and then I'm going to go to the right and then to the left from there. Okay. Now I'll just bring in my scraper just to add some additional pressure. Make sure it's really on there. Remove any bubbles. Okay, and now I can remove my transfer tape. Okay, my air conditioner kicked on. It is currently 98 degrees in September. Oh my goodness, it's so warm here. So while it's a little bit of a hum in the background of our crafty night, it's actually a very welcome sound because it is so warm. Okay, there is our little design. Again, I will just keep this liner so that I can place my transfer tape right back on there and use it the next time. Okay, so there is our first little project. Again, we used the Smart Adhesive Vinyl. And again, because it is Smart Adhesive Vinyl, it comes in this roll here, and we don't have to use a mat. So we did the matless cutting. So let's go ahead and let's test out. Should we do iron-on next? Why not? Let's just do some iron-on next. We will do the matless cutting with the Smart iron-on. I think that will be a good idea. So let's make a shirt. Okay, so I'm back in design space. I'm going to just delete our previous design. I'll come back over to upload, and let's go ahead and use this fun design to do a shirt, and we'll use that Smart iron-on. So I'm going to select this. At the bottom right hand, you'll see a button that says Add to Canvas. So you're just going to click that, and then it's placed in your little working place there. Okay, so let's go ahead first and foremost. I'm going to take my design, and because I want it to cut just like this, and with all of this spacing, I want it to cut exactly how I see it on the screen here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Combine button, and I always just weld it together. That way it becomes one little piece up here, one layer. So beforehand, if you go and if I click the back button, you'll see that it had two layers there, right? But I just weld them together. That way it's one layer and it'll cut just like I see it on my screen. Okay, you could also attach it. I do have a tutorial on the difference between welding and attaching, so you can check that out if you want to learn a little bit more about that. Okay, let me grab my shirt and get a quick measurement. I think I am going to make this a width of 8.5. So I'm just, again, going up to that size area right up here, and I'm going to type in 8.5, enter, and again, because it is locked, it will automatically adjust my height. Okay, so I'm actually going to cut this out of a white Smart iron-on, and you can just keep it this color. I'm going to go ahead and make this white. Again, you do not need to. It's just an extra step. But now I'm going to make sure that my Joy Xtra is all selected, and then I'll select Make It. Okay, now we are doing smart material once more before we move on to using any material in the Cricut Joy Xtra. So we can select without a mat because again, we're doing the smart iron-on. So I'll select that and click confirm. Now, because we're doing iron-on, what we need to do is we need to come over right here and click mirror. So once you click that, you'll see that it makes it kind of backwards, right? So we need it to cut in that nature because of how we're going to load the iron-on into the machine. And you'll see me do all of this in just a moment. Okay, the big thing you remember here is that we're doing iron-on. When you do iron-on, you need to mirror it. Okay, now we can go ahead and click continue. And again, it's going to locate my Cricut Joy Xtra. Okay, now on this screen, it looks a little different than last time because it doesn't have a variety of materials. That's because it's now on bookmarked. So you can go ahead and click popular. Remember when we checked this little flag here? That is bookmarking it so that in our bookmarked area, it's going to show all of our favorites. It just helps down the road so that we can only see the materials that we most commonly use. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually, let's see if I can just click popular. Yep, I can. Or you can click browse all materials, but I'm sure it's right here. Okay, smart iron-on, that's what we're gonna do this time. Again, I am going to flag this or bookmark it because it's something that I will use over and over again. I actually really do like the smart iron-on, so I do like using it. So now I will just make sure I select it, okay? And then it's going to have a little alert here, which is wonderful because sometimes you're gonna get crafting and you're gonna be in a hurry and you're gonna forget that mirror feature. So it's gonna remind you here, make sure your mirror is turned on. You can verify that over here on the left side. It will say mirror on. If you click the edit button, you can toggle that switch on and off. So if you did forget, then click edit, click the mirror on, and then you'll be all set to go. But again, you can verify that over here. Okay, fine point blade, which is already loaded in the clamp, so we're good to go there. And now we're going to load our material. Now we're gonna load iron-on a little bit differently than we loaded our adhesive vinyl, but I'm gonna show you how easy that is. Okay, so this is the shirt I'm going to be using. I had that out because I was doing just a little measuring. Now, let's do the smart iron-on. Now I think they did put tape on this one. There it is. So I'm just going to lightly score that. Okay, and again, smart iron-on. This is at 9.5 inches by 24 inches. So different than the smart vinyl in terms of the dimensions. Okay, so now I have my smart iron-on. I'm gonna open my machine. And what I'm going to do is there is a shiny side to your iron-on and there is a dull side. And it's very obvious in person. Shiny, shiny, and kind of matte, right? You want the shiny side to go down. The shiny side is actually your carrier sheet. So you're going to locate the shiny side, have that face down, and now we're just going to feed that right into our machine. Again, just using those guides. And then once you place your material over this sensor, that's when the little gears and wheels start turning. It kind of notifies the machine that you are about to load something. So once it goes over there, everything starts moving and then it'll pull it in. Okay, and I have nothing back here this time that's going to get in the way. Okay, so I think that that is all good to go. Now in design space, I can just click go. Okay, so now that's just going to begin cutting. Okay, so there it goes. Again, it's a smart iron-on, so we don't need a mat. You just feed the material right on through. And this is a good time to take a little crafty break while you watch your material cut. That way you're ready to get back crafting. Okay, so that's all done. I'm gonna unload in Cricut Design Space, and it just pops that right out of the machine there. And now I can just shut my machine. Now, once again, I can trim off my extra material. I'm gonna go as straight as I can. That way, the next time I go to load this into my machine, I have a nice, really straight cut that will help load that in. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this all weeded out. So I have still the shiny side down, okay? And I'm going to begin weeding. And I like to do all that surrounding area first. That way I can really see my design. If I take all that extra off that surrounds it, and then I'll go back in through with my middles. So far I think it's a great machine. Now, I know that it can do other fun things like stickers. Again, they didn't have those types of materials at my Michael's today, so I wasn't able to pick that up. But again, I will bring that in a video soon. I probably just need to go shopping at another store tomorrow and see if I can find it somewhere else or just place an order. But again, don't forget to go down into the comment section and vote if you would rather see the stickers next or if you'd rather me do the card mat next. Don't worry, I will do both videos because I'm curious myself on how to use both and see both processes, but you can decide which one we do first. So grabbing all of my little middles, now this is where you're going to really understand, if you're brand new to iron-on, why we mirrored our image. So let me put my weeding tool away. Now that it's all weeded, we're actually going to turn this over and then it's all in the right direction because this is how we're going to press it onto the shirt. Now I'm going to use my heat press for this first shirt. When we do iron on later in this video for our next shirt, I will go ahead and bring in the easy press. That way if you don't have a heat press, you can see the easy press in action as well. But let's take this over to my heat press and press this on the shirt. Okay, so it's still reaching temperature, and what I'm going to do is bring my shirt right on in. Okay, and I'm going to, as my heat press is reaching temperature, I'm going to pre-press my shirt. This is going to remove any wrinkles, but also more importantly, it's going to ensure that there's no moisture in the shirt that would prevent the iron-on from sticking on the shirt. And I'm just going to do about 5 to 10 seconds there. That's plenty. Okay. And just pull this out and use my lint roller to make sure there's no lint on the surface of the shirt. Again, we just don't want any barriers between our shirt and the iron-on. Okay. And I can just place my iron-on where I would like it. And this liner is sticky, so it's really helpful because we can just stick it on the shirt and it will stay put. So I like to stick it down and then I lift my shirt up just so I can visually see it and make sure it's nice and centered. That looks pretty good. But I am going to grab a tape measure and just make sure. Okay, so I'm going to measure. That is about, just about 3.5. And that is about 3.5. Okay, I think it has to be at 315 degrees for 30 seconds. I'll verify that in a minute. It's at 310. I'm gonna go ahead and just give it a go. So I'll go ahead and just close my heat press and I'm gonna press that for 30 seconds. Okay, all done. And I'm gonna let the iron-on cool before I peel off the liner. So in order to speed up the cooling process, I like to place it just on a cold surface face down. Just kind of rub it so that the heat just comes right on out. And you can literally feel it cool down. Okay, so once that is nice and cool, then you can begin peeling the liner. Okay, and just monitor all the edges to make sure everything lays down. It's peeling so nice. And we're good to go. Now, if you do notice that there's any type of, little areas that are peeling up or any problem areas, what you'll do is just place this liner right back over your iron-on and apply some additional heat. So make sure you keep this until the very end because you don't want to put your heat press onto exposed iron-on. You want to have a little barrier to protect both your press and your iron-on. Okay, so that looks great. I don't need any additional heat So there is my shirt with the Smart Iron-On. Now again, I will say I do like the Smart Iron-On. I think it's a great product. I think it's easy to work with. It does exactly what it should. Again, the Smart adhesive vinyl I find to be a tad tricky, so I prefer using other vinyl other than the adhesive vinyl that we used on the cup. But the Smart Iron-On, I feel like it is wonderful and it does great each and every time. Okay, so we have done all of our smart material that I have purchased. We did the Smart Vinyl, Smart Iron-On. Let's go ahead and use some non-Cricut things with our Cricut Joy Xtra. So I'm going to now need a mat, and I'll grab all of my materials. Let's hop back over to do an adhesive vinyl project, and then we can do another shirt with some iron-on. Okay, we're back in design space with a new design. I've already sized it, again, using the size guides right up here. And this is another design that I uploaded, and I do place links to the designs and where I found them down below in the description box with all of my material as well. Okay, so again, we're using our Cricut Joy Xtra, so that's selected, and now I can say make it. Now on this screen, we are going to do something different than we did with the last two crafts, because now we're moving on from smart materials to just regular materials that are not Cricut brand. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is select on matte, because this indicates it's for any material. Now I can click confirm, and you'll see a little matte preview. So this is our new Cricut Joy Xtra matte. Again, it is at that 8.5 by 12, I believe. So now we can click continue and make our material selection. Okay, let's go ahead and go to popular materials. And it might not be in there because I think this is just showing all of the Cricut Joy Xtra materials that we can use. So let's go to browse all materials. And again, I'm just using a regular vinyl. So I'm going to go all the way down to vinyl, and I'm going to select Premium Vinyl Permanent Glossy. That is the cut setting that I use on all of my other machines, and it seems to work great, so we'll test it out with this new machine. I'll bookmark it because I want to use it again, and then let's just select it. It gives us our little green check mark, and we can say done. Okay, so that's all selected. Now we're going to load our mat into the machine with our material. Okay, so we are going to make a little craft room decor. Thought this would be super fun. So let's open up the new mat. I'm going to use the blue one this time. I'm going to remove the liner. Now, one thing that I do is I make sure to put the liner back on each and every time I'm done using my mat, because it helps prevent any dust or hair from getting on the mat, and it helps it last longer. Now, one thing you want to note is, unlike all of the other mats, it doesn't have a little hangy tab here. So you're gonna have to store it a little differently if you are used to hanging them like I am. Okay, so now I just have some non-smart material. This is Oracle vinyl. This is my absolute favorite. I'm gonna place it right on my mat. And you'll just want to note in your mat preview screen where it's going to cut your design, and that's where you'll put your material. Okay, then I can open up my machine and then load my mat. All right, and then we can select go. Again, you have to do all of those selections in Design Space. On the other machines, like the Explorer and the Maker, they have buttons. So one thing you'll notice about the Cricut Joy Xtra and the Cricut Joy is there's no buttons. Everything you'll do in Design Space. Okay, so now it's cutting out. Honestly, I don't notice a speed variation between the smart vinyl and just regular vinyl, so I don't know. It's not noteworthy any slower. Okay, so I'm going to let that cut out. In the meantime, I'm going to place that little design on this cute little house. It's going to be just a little decor. I'm going to make this for a friend. Now, to prep my materials, once more I'm going to grab my rubbing alcohol and just spray the surface for the same reasons as last time. Remove any oil or dust. My friend just got a Cricut machine, so I'm going to make her a little fun decor for her little crafty space. Okay, so that is all prepped and ready. Now we're just going to wait on our vinyl to be cut so that we can place it right on our fun little house. So far, I'm really enjoying this machine. It's working really well. I love the size of it. It is really a pretty perfect size for at least how I craft. Usually this is, you know, the size of designs that I am cutting out. So I am kind of anticipating that I'm going to grab for this machine quite often because again, this is usually the size, this size or smaller, that I tend to craft with. Okay, I'm gonna unload the mat again in Cricut Design Space and just spits that out. I can close that. And another thing that I like to do is I like to remove my material and I like to weed my material right on my craft mat. I know a lot of people like to weed on their actual cutting mat. I don't because, again, it just gives you an opportunity to get either hair, dust, or oil on the actual cutting mat, and it just reduces the longevity of the stickiness. So I just use my mat for cutting purposes only, and again, I cover it up immediately after use to make sure it stays nice and clean. Honestly, I do not have to buy craft mats, if at all. They last years before I have to replace them, and it's just because I'm really, really careful with how I use them. Okay, but you know, everybody crafts differently. If you like to weed on your mat, then that's the perfect answer for you, right? Okay, again, let's weed out our material. And I like to start with the surrounding area. Isn't this a cute design? Once more, all materials will be down below. And I'll really quickly go through and get all of those little middle pieces. I think this is going to be such a fun little gift. Okay, and again, I am really eager to explore and go see the additional materials that were released with the new machine. That way we can play around with those as well. So far, I'm really loving this machine. Again, nice size, and it is cutting beautifully. Okay, I'm gonna grab my favorite transfer tape. This is a non-Cricut transfer tape. I adore it. I bought it on a whim off of Amazon one year, and I think it was a Black Friday deal, and I thought, well, that's a good price. Let me see if I like it. And it was game over for me. I adore this transfer tape, and I never looked back. So I'll link it down below in case you are in need of a good transfer tape. Again, I'm burnishing the top and the bottom, or the front and the back more accurately. And let's go ahead and remove the liner and leave the vinyl right on that transfer tape. It looks like it cut just a little deep in a couple spots, and that could be just from a fresh new blade or learning the pressure of a new machine. Sometimes my other machines do this as well, so it's nothing to be concerned about. Okay, so that did pretty well. A little bit of a deeper cut, but that's okay because I just will have to learn this machine and the pressure and what cut settings are best. But that is just like any machine when you are learning it, because all, you know, I have 4 Cricut machines and they all can cut a little bit differently, right? Just like my machines will be a little bit different than yours. So you might have to play around with your cut settings. Okay, that looks great. I think that's perfect. Okay, so lay that down. Whoopsie, sorry about that. And burnish that down. Okay, there we are. And then very ever so gently with my weeding tool, I don't want to scratch the surface here. Now this little house I believe came from Dollar Tree. Isn't it cute? I'll remove that transfer tape and there we go. So here is a fun little craft that we did with just a non-Cricut brand adhesive vinyl through the Cricut Joy Xtra. So Love how that turned out. And you absolutely can use non-smart materials with this new machine. Okay, back in Cricut Design Space with another new design. This time we're going to do another t-shirt, but again, non-smart material. We're going to use just a regular iron-on that is not Cricut brand and see how it cuts on the new Cricut Joy Xtra. So this is the design I'm using. Isn't this darling? I'm going to put this on a t-shirt, and it's going to be out of a white iron-on, but I can just go ahead and just keep this black. It doesn't matter. You don't have to color code it. You can put whatever color in your machine. So it's already sized. I have it at 8.5 by 4.3, so just about a little more than 4.25. And I'm going to select Make It. Now, again, because we are not doing smart material, I will click on a mat. Again, it's for any material, and click Confirm. And then it's going to show me a little preview. Now, remember, we're doing iron-on, so what do we need to do next? That's right, we have to click mirror. So mirror your image right here. And again, it has it previewed on the little cutting screen. Funny, it has the little tab on the preview, but they don't have the little tabs in real life. I wish they did, because I do like to hang my mats up, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so it's mirrored. I can click continue. It's going to locate my Joy Xtra. Okay, and then again, I'm going to browse all materials. I am going to use the everyday iron-on setting. That's the one I like to use for this. I'm using Caesar Easy Weed, and I find that the everyday iron-on setting works well with it. So I'm going to bookmark that, because again, it's something I'm going to use time and time again. And I'll click it so that I see the check mark. Click done right down here, and then I'm ready to go. Funny that it didn't give an alert though to remind me about mirroring. I wonder why it didn't, but I can verify over here that mirror is turned on, so I'm good to go. All right, let's place our iron-on onto a mat and feed it through the machine. Okay, before we do that though, I'm going to bring the Easy Press in this time. I showed you my heat press for the last shirt, but let's use the Easy Press this time. And for this material, I'm going to do 305 degrees for 15 seconds. I had just done a craft with this material, so the time and temp are already ready to go, and now I just need to wait for it to heat to temperature. When it does, it will chime, and this little Cricut icon will go from orange to green. So I'm just going to set this to the side in its little cradle. Here's the shirt I'm going to be using. I can also set that to the side. And let's open up. I can go ahead and still use the blue mat. And I can also grab some of my iron-on. Okay. So I'm just going to trim this down just a little bit, and removing my liner. And again, iron-on, we're going to load a little differently in our machine. Just like the smart iron-on, you will see a shiny side and more of a dull matte side. It's kind of hard to see on camera. In real life, you will absolutely have no hesitation on which side is which. But locate the shinier side, place that side down on your mat. Okay, make sure it is nice and flat. Okay, then we can load it right into the machine. There it goes. And then after it measures, I'm going to pull this out a little bit. That way it doesn't hit anything. Okay. After it measures the mat, then it will allow us to press go. Again, all of the selections are done in Cricut Design Space. So I'll click go, and it can begin cutting. Okay, my heat press just chimed and it has a little green light, so we are to temperature. So that will be ready to go once we are ready to begin pressing. And my design is almost all finished. While I love this machine, Before this machine was released, I actually recorded a lot of fall videos. So I have all of my October videos done, all of my November videos done. So if you don't see this machine in those videos, it's not because I didn't love it, it's because I did a lot of crafting prior to this release. So I just want to let you know that in case you are wondering why you don't see this particular machine in any of my Thanksgiving and Halloween videos that are coming up. But again, we're going to explore stickers and we're going to explore that card mat next as soon as you all vote in the comment section. I can't wait to see what you decide. Okay, it is all done. So I can click unload. There we go. Okay, so now I can just place my machine off to the side. I'm going to remove my iron-on. There we go. And again, oh, it's nice and sticky. Again, I'm going to place my liner right back over there. Okay, keep that nice and clean and sticky. Okay, I accidentally cut into my design just now. That's okay. It'll all be fine once we iron it onto the shirt. So again, with my weeding tool and my vinyl, my iron-on vinyl, shiny side down on the mat, I will begin removing all of the surrounding area. And if you're new to weeding, weeding is just removing any part of the design that you don't want in your final project. So again, I like to start with this surrounding area. It just really helps the design take shape. See how I cut my little C there? But that's going to be okay. It's going to iron on perfectly. Okay, and then next you're just going to go through and get all of those middle pieces. So usually this is middles of letters, or if you have any designs that have any middle pieces that need to come out, you'll focus on those areas as well. Now, make sure that you get all of your little pieces. So if any of these little pieces fall off and stick to your liner, make sure you take the time to just look really closely and make sure it didn't land on there, because anything that's on the liner is going to iron on to your shirt. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my heat pad. Now, I made this heat pad. I have a tutorial on how I did that if you'd like to make one for your own craft space as well. I'll bring my shirt in. Okay. And similar to how we did our first shirt with the heat press, I'm going to just follow those same steps. So first, I'm going to preheat my shirt. Okay. Again, making sure there's no moisture in the shirt. If you have a rather wrinkly shirt, it will help remove all of those wrinkles. And then I will do my lint roller. Okay. Okay. Now again, this is a sticky liner, so it really helps. Just keep your design where you'd like it as you're deciding on placement. That looks pretty good. Let's verify really quickly. Let's see here. We have about 3 inches there, and we have 3 inches there. Okay. If you have been following me for a while, you know my superpower is placement. For some reason I have a good eye for that. Okay, this time I am going to do 305 for 15 seconds. Okay, here we go. Oh, sorry, I was hiding the countdown. Okay, I'm going to leave this on until I am sure we don't need additional heat. But again, I'm going to remove my shirt from my heat mat. That will help cool it down quicker. Turn it over and then let that heat dry out. There we go. You want to wait until it is completely cool to remove your liner. Okay. And then just grab a corner and begin peeling. Now if you see any problem areas, anything that's not laying down, you can keep your liner and place it right back over the top. actually see a couple areas I think they're good, but I'm not 100% sure that they're perfect. So grab the heat mat, place the shirt, grab the liner once more. Again, you don't want to put your heat on exposed iron-on, so just make sure it's nice and covered. It doesn't need to be lined up perfectly, but just make sure it's covered. And then I'm simply going to give it a little bit more heat, just to make sure. And I'll do the 15 seconds again. That'll be just fine. Okay. Following the exact same steps, I'm going to turn off my heat press because I know that this will be plenty. Draw out that heat, make sure it's nice and cool. Okay, and then there we go. Looks great. Okay, so there is a fun little craft, fun t-shirt with using the Cricut Joy Xtra and material that is not smart material. So you can very easily place that on a mat and still cut out non-Cricut branded items on your Cricut machine. All right, friends, I had fun unboxing the new machine. I also really love the size of it. Again, we very easily did 2 shirts with some larger designs through the machine, and we didn't even come close to the size limit. So that is really, really exciting. I am absolutely loving the fact that we have a small machine that can do t-shirts. That is a game changer because it got a little tricky with the original Cricut Joy. We kind of had to do it in little sections, but it was still doable, much easier on this machine. So we did some smart materials, or smart materials, non-smart materials. We also did some smart vinyl and some regular vinyl, making some fun drinkware and decor. And I really think that this is a really fun machine. I'm excited to continue learning more about it. I really am intrigued with the idea of doing stickers, and I really want to learn more about that card mat. So we're going to do both of those videos once you decide which one we're going to start with. Let me know what was your favorite craft. Let me know what you think about the machine. I'm really excited for this machine because it's a great price point. I think it is an appropriate price point for this machine. I know they recently did the Cricut Venture, which was extremely expensive. I thought that was just a little too much in terms of budget for my craft space. So when they came out with this, I really was intrigued by the size, and I think the price is appropriate. All right, let's continue crafting with the Cricut Joy Xtra soon. I can't wait to hear what you think about it. Let me know if you're thinking about adding it to your craft space as well. And I can't wait to continue crafting with you in the next video. Be sure to subscribe if you're brand new. We are going to definitely go down a rabbit hole with the Cricut Joy Xtra, and I can't wait to take you along as we learn a little bit more about the machine and what materials we can use with it. All right, everyone, I'll see you soon.